Okay. Okay, we're recording.
Okay, very good. Tonight, there's several things that we need to share and learn together. I'm still learning, even though I've been at this about 5 years. There's a lot more yet to learn. And I'm ready for our very first slide to come up.
Yeah, key points. Do you want to go beyond this, or do you want to go to meeting space?
We'll go to the meeting space, yeah.
Okay, we're there.
All right. Okay. They can see it because I can't. It didn't
It's
come up
up.
on my. Oh, it is?
It is up.
Okay. Well, I shall.
You can't? Did you say you can't?
No, I don't see it, but that's all right. I've got it. I just got to pop it open.
I want to make sure that I'm doing.
For the meeting.
Hold on just 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
You can see it now.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, now for the meeting space. It is best to show up to the meeting about 20 to 30 minutes early for most meetings. I've been to one meeting place where I had to show up at least an hour early because of our situation for setting up the room. It was in a dental office, and we would set up the room just as they were closing. And sometimes if the room hadn't been used all day, it might be a nice 110 degrees inside. So we had to give time for the air conditioning to kick in and make it comfortable. I would show up an hour early, kick on the air conditioner, set up the room, and be at the door about 30 minutes early to greet guests coming in and out because it was a place of business. Therefore, that one was quite extensive. Usually 20 to 30 minutes is plenty to get in and set up your meeting room. You're going to prepare your meeting space. Sometimes this involves moving tables. It will involve setting up your lectern, your banner, and the flag. Putting out the guest book and the packets. Guest packets are very important. The guest book is going to be your Vice President of Education's record of who was at the meeting. And the guest packets will let the people know a little bit about your club. Always make sure there is a very well working pen set there. Next part is to place your agendas and ballots out. Especially the ballots need to be at the Toastmasters tables, not where guests would sit, because guests won't be voting. However, the ballots are for Toastmasters to also pass notes with. Once agendas and ballots have been passed out, I go back to the guest table and place all the name tents out. I do it in a different order because I don't like to work in one area at once. I check all of my equipment, especially the timing equipment. Check the timing light, make sure the batteries are working correctly. If it doesn't have batteries, I make sure that the cards are there. And the forms, all of the forms, which include awe counter and such, which I didn't put into this, but your awe counter, what have you, all have to be out there as well. And I set them out on the table and let the people pick them up as they come in. Okay, we're ready for our next slide, Guy. For your club equipment, you're obviously going to have a banner, a gavel, a lectern, and many types of awards. Awards for table topics, awards for best speaker, and best evaluator. Those awards need to be taken immediately to the president, have them signed and dated, and then they are brought over to the vote counter. Not all clubs have this, but some do. The ribbons also are very similar. At Windjammers, we keep 2 great big banners full of ribbons. that we display at our meeting place. And again, the ballots are placed out, and it says evaluation forms. It's not just for the general evaluator, there's other forms there. The Toastmaster form, the President's form, and all of your other meeting forms, including the secretary forms. You also need to make sure you have all of your little tools, such as the pens, masking tape, a Sharpie, extra batteries in case your timer battery goes dead, or a cell phone handy in case the timer doesn't work, the timer's light doesn't work. This is ensured in two ways. You always want to keep in touch with your secretary to make sure that these things are set up and kept up. You never know, if you're running low on forms, the secretary will be able to get to them. So they can print you new forms in the event that you're not set up to print. Okay, Guy, I'm ready for the next slide. As a Toastmaster, you're going to naturally be talking to people. And as Sergeant at Arms, you're going to be the first person that guests come into contact with. Put your hand out and introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Curtis. It's a pleasure to meet you. What brought you to Toastmasters? How did you hear about us? Have them sign the guest book. And if they say that somebody like Norma Tanner told them to come in, make sure that they sit close to Norma Tanner, because they will feel comfortable with her. They're going to work much better right there. If they just heard it off the web, invite them to sit with you. It's very hard for people to know what Toastmasters is unless they have a chance to sit with a Toastmaster, as someone who can explain the roles and what is going on, especially if they're going, oh, what's this? And you can talk to them and help them. You are a blessing. And don't be afraid to put a little bit of humor out there. Somebody says, my name is Clarice. Oh, great. That is a coincidence. My mom's name is Clarice. You reach over and you put your hand out and the guy says, oh, my name's Steve. You're not going to believe this. What a coincidence. My mom's name is Steve. Naturally, you're going to get a good response. They realize that you're a human being and you're there to enjoy things. You're definitely there for a good time, not so much a long time. Okay, we're ready for our next slide. Meetings and contests. As a Sergeant at Arms, in a contest and a meeting, it's quite a bit different. However, there's a lot of things that are the same. First thing you're going to do is act as a facilitator. Let people know about what time that the contest starts. We've got 5 minutes. Give a 5-minute warning. Let them know that this thing's coming up. Then give a 3-minute warning. Gives them a little bit more of an approximity of the time that they need. Then a 1-minute warning, or some people will go 2 and 1. Once that is given and you say, okay, grab your seats, it is a good idea to do some housekeeping. Pull out your cell phone, hold it up and say, hey, if you're holding one of these little devices, please put it into the silent, off, or vibrate mode. We don't want to interrupt one of our speakers. In the event that your phone won't go into the silent or off mode, hand it to me. I've got a bucket of water I can store it in. It will be just fine. Of course, more humor. Then you introduce where the restrooms are. Excuse me, you don't introduce, you just, the restrooms are located through the door to your left and to your right. Be sure to catch the signs. Then you introduce the presiding officer. In the event that you're at a district contest, you would say, please help me welcome our district, district director. I was thinking governor. Please help me introduce our district director, distinguished Toastmaster, Guy Dawson. And you lead the applause. Once he comes up, your job there is done, and you go back. You will assist speakers. Perhaps they will need props. Maybe they will need the lectern, or they need the lectern removed. Many of the contests, such as the table topics contests and the evaluation contestants, they need to be escorted out. Take your time, escort the people to their proper place, and you will have a second sergeant at arms helping with the escorting. One to bring them in to the room, and then one to bring them beyond that. You're going to assist the Toastmaster with all certificates and trophies. Now, you would think that it's just common knowledge to hand them directly to the Toastmaster and no problem. However, if the contestant is between you and the Toastmaster, it is best to slip the certificate behind the contestant's back over to the Toastmaster. You're not blocking the camera. You are there for the Toastmaster and for the contestant. You don't want to take away from anything that is theirs. When it comes to the trophies, the same thing. You will bring the trophies over to the one who is presenting, typically behind the contestant if possible, or directly to the Toastmaster. If they happen to have sound equipment, such as a direct district or division contest, a lot of times have sound equipment, you will assist with that. You might assist with fitting the sound equipment, like to the headphones. You may assist with running lines and wires. You want to make sure that everything is safe and set up correctly. There's always going to be somebody who has your back when you're a sergeant at arms. Also, pick up a program and keep that handy. You want to know the speaking order of each contestant. Now let's just say that today we've got George Gilbert speaking second, and the first one will be Sean O'Day. Well, you've got a number beside each of them. They may not be in the same order as on the paper and probably won't be. However, you put the number of the contestant's order at their name. Also, you check with the contestant to see if there's any props, such as last year, George Gilbert had a table with a wine glass and some other things. His was easy to set up. You just had to know whose was what and where to set it. With that comes a little bit of masking tape and a Sharpie. You put the name of the contestant on the masking tape and stick it to the floor. Now you know where each piece goes. Okay, I reckon I'm ready for, let's see, sound. Yes, we're ready for the next slide. Act as a club liaison. Now, as a club liaison, I like to go out and visit other clubs. I get ideas from other clubs and bring them back to my club. I also share ideas that my club has done well with other clubs. And it's a good way to put together a joint meeting or perhaps a party. This time of year, there's a lot of Christmas parties going on. I have attended quite a few, and it's great. A lot more interaction between people, a lot more ideas for clubs. It really is a lot of fun. It will definitely enrich in your life. For maintaining your club supplies and property, well, a Sergeant at Arms box is going to have all of the papers, such as counter forms. It will have a whole gob of stuff in it. Just simply make sure that there are enough of them for the meeting and a couple of following meetings. I like to have a month's supply at least in the box. If there's not, I will run off several copies. Make sure that they do have it, especially timer forms. That is the most critical of the forms, and the Toastmaster forms. General Evaluator, I have those as well. I want to make certain that the banner is, clean and neat, that the lectern doesn't receive damage. Everything is put away properly so it can be got out easily. Guy, I reckon I'm ready for the next slide. In conclusion, strive not to be a person of success, rather a person of value, and you will be an incredible Sergeant at Arms. It's easy to be successful in a lot of things. However, as a Sergeant at Arms, if you are definitely somebody of value, you will be called back. You will be recognized. More Sergeants at Arms become Toastmaster of the Year or Sparkplug of the Year than anybody else. And it's because they're always out there helping others. They are presenting a great service. Their office is very, very important. Not to just the people who they're working with immediately, such as the speakers and the Toastmaster, but they're also very important to the people in the clubs who have come to watch them. Because as a sergeant, you are wanting every contest, every meeting to go well. You want these people to do their best. And I do believe that about concludes my portion of what I'm to represent today.
All right. So Curtis, I'll bring us back. Okay, great. So everyone out there, again, I'm going to leave everyone on mute. And I would like for all of you to utilize the chat box. If there are any specific questions that you have for Curtis about how to be a more effective Sergeant at Arms, will you please use the chat box and send me your questions. One of the questions that I have for you, Curtis, is how did you develop these skills? What were you doing? Were you seeking out people to help you to grow, or how did you become a good Sergeant at Arms?
Well, I got plunged into a district conference as a Sergeant at Arms, as not just a Sergeant at Arms, but the chair. And I had two marvelous helpers, Steve Goldstein and Eugene Zone. Both of them helped me tremendously with becoming a Sergeant at Arms. Once I learned a little bit, I kept my ears open and my eyes open. And every time I was around them, I learned more. By the time I was done with that contest, with the district contest, I had a good idea about what it was to be a Sergeant at Arms.
Right, so the mentoring aspect, just like in all the other areas of Toastmasters, is really important. I've got a question here from Steve Sharp. He says, Sergeant at Arms is responsible for the room objects that are in the way or cards not taped down. Should the Sergeant at Arms sit at the rear of the meeting room to greet late arriving guests? Do you make later arrivals wait until between speeches to seat them?
Well, when somebody comes in, I try to make sure that I am there to greet them. With Windjammers, it's more towards the front of the room. When they come in, I want them to be sure to get a guest packet and sign the guest book. I want to bring them back and get them set down next to somebody who is knowledgeable with Toastmasters. These people are going to have questions, and you want to make them your best friend. They will love to join your club, especially if you show them a little bit of kindness and you're informative. So it doesn't matter where you're sitting so much as it is where the people come in. And Windjammers, I sit to the front because the entrance is to the front of the room. So yeah, try to be close to the entrance.
And me personally, Curtis, I think that the Sergeant at Arms role is so underrated. Basically, when you have a very effective Sergeant at Arms, it's amazing how much better a club will perform. I've been in clubs where we've had very good Sergeant at Arms and where we have had people who were not so skilled. And it's just amazing the way that the Sergeant at Arms really sets the tone for the meeting. Will you speak to that and the importance of getting the club off to a good start and setting the tone for how the meeting goes through the setup?
Sure. When you come out and you make your first announcements, we're going to have a 5-minute warning. Do it in a loud, crisp voice. Don't shout, but in a good, loud voice. Broadcast your voice. Once you have made this connection with the audience, they're now responsive to you. When you make your second announcement, the same thing. A guest comes in, go over and greet them, talk to them, let them know what you're doing. Hey, we're getting ready for our meeting. Come on in. Who brought you? And if they don't have somebody that brought them, maybe they caught the name off of the web. I'm going to be sitting right here. Would you sit with me? Invite them in. As soon as you have your meeting started, make sure that you announce who the presiding officer is. Please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Guy Dawson, and lead the applause. Let these people know that you appreciate them as well. The other people coming in will appreciate what they're getting into. I think, did that answer your question?
It did.
Okay.
Yes, it did. It's really in playing the role as a facilitator. Really, you're the person who basically is in control of the meeting until you turn it over to that presiding officer.
Yes.
So I have a question from Marcia, and her question is, Curtis, you did not answer Steve's question about whether you have late arrivals wait until or between speeches to seat them. What do you do?
Oh, if they're between speeches, I will go over and bring them in during the as long as it's between a speech. If it's while a speaker is speaking, I will wait until that speaker is done. I try not to disturb speakers. Then I will go out, bring the people in, get them a guest packet, and then get them seated. I want them to know that we don't disturb speakers, but I don't want them to think that it's rude for them to come late because they may not have been able to find the place. I just want them to feel comfortable and yet also respectful.
Okay, and there was one other thing that I wanted to speak to is this, the aspect of introducing them to the members of your club. Tell us how you go about doing that. I know that you're actually really good about that and kind of integrating the guests into the meeting by introducing them to everyone.
Oh yeah, when they come in, I talk to them a little bit. I put my hand out, introduce myself, and I get, once they have signed the name book, or what you call it, the guest book, gotten them a name tent, and they have their guest packet, I also write down their name and put it on the lectern. This helps the president know, or the VPE, whoever is going to lead the meeting that day, lets them know who they are. Let's say Ralph, red shirt, and I will lay that up there. Now that helps with their memory as well, and then I introduce them immediately to our presiding officer, because they're going to be the one recognizing them as quickly as possible through the meeting. I want that person to know that they are important to the meeting as a guest.
Right. Yes, that's first impressions are very powerful, and so I do think that taking that very personalized aspect is really important, and making them feel welcome and at home and a part of the meeting. It's the feedback that we get so often from people who end up joining Toastmasters, or even some that don't join. It was the first impressions that made such a difference to them, and so you as the Sergeant at Arms can really, again, set the tone for the success of the meeting by taking care of the people when they come in. There's another question here, and it's from Marcia. Are the guest packets the same as the member packet?
No, they're not. They're quite a bit of difference. The guest packets have a lot of information about the club, and the new member packets have also quite a bit of information about the club, more information about Toastmasters, as well as the Toastmasters promise and such, which is included in the club, or in the packets. There's more little flyer material in the guest packets.
And then you touched on being the club liaison, which is another aspect, I think, of being a Sergeant at Arms that not a lot of people understand, and visiting other clubs. Can you go into more details about examples of how you've done that?
Oh yes, I have been to I'll Drink to That Toastmasters quite a few times. I know quite a bunch of the members, and it's just a lot of fun to go over there and talk with them. I gain some ideas, especially from the they've got great leaders over there. I have gotten ideas for different meetings, for joint meetings, like Innuendo, which I was a member of, and I'll drink to that, have had a combined meeting. And I got to say, that was one heck of a meeting. It really went well. Everyone had a great time. We went way over where we were supposed to be, I think it was 2 hour meeting set. We were at about 4.5 hours when we finally broke down. However, it wasn't a standard meeting. Everybody had fun, and we got some new information from different people and different things. I had ideas for club meetings. We had ideas for outings. It was great. Windjammers has had a lot of parties. That's my home club. I have had a lot of different meetings and places with them at, let's just say, the last Christmas party. I didn't get to attend that. Unfortunately, I've had the flu. But I've got to say that when we have a joint meeting like we did last year with Innuendo and Windjammers, I think it was Star Masters, it was really good experience. We had a lot of people in there pulling together to make one really nice meeting. And we had guests who were not Toastmasters. They got to see a whole new side of Toastmasters. And I'm sure that it inspired them to possibly join a Toastmasters group.
And you facilitated that by acting as that liaison.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I helped to set up that party, in fact, with Dana Wall and Phyllis and quite a few others. And it was a very, very well done deal. I had so much help. I can't say I was the facilitator so much as they were. I got them interested, and the next thing you know, it just went off like a rocket. And there's so much help to get things going once you start it.
Here's another question from Steve Sharp. I remember reading in one of the manuals that the Sergeant at Arms is responsible for locating a place for the club to meet. Have you ever had to do that?
Yes, I have. When Windjammers lost its home at Denny's restaurant, we'd been there for 40 years, they said that they didn't want us there anymore because they were going to change the rooms up. Not so much they didn't want us, they just didn't have the room anymore. We had to go out and find a room. Sergeant at Arms and the president worked very closely together, and so did several other people. We got us a home. It took us a very short time. We put it on kind of a committee to come up with a room, and I believe it was Tim Chedister found this room within a week, and we were set. Tim was not the sergeant, but he did help with getting the room. However, we put it together because the Sergeant at Arms definitely needed help getting that done. So you can ask for help and you will receive it.
That logistical aspect, and I remember that. I'm in that club, and I remember us having to go out and find ourselves a new place. And very quickly, you guys got that done, though. It was you were very proactive.
Yes, I certainly wanted to have the meeting place. I love Windjammers. I've loved all my Toastmaster clubs, but I don't want to see any of them close.
Yeah, the consistency of the meeting place really makes all the difference in the world in how well your club runs. Clarice has a question for you. Do you have a member who serves as your backup in case you are unable to attend a meeting? If so, how do you ensure that they perform the tasks you normally do as Sergeant at Arms?
Always have a secondary plan, a backup plan, and you have a backup for the backup. Now, in the event that I am not able to make it when I'm Sergeant at Arms, I call the Toastmaster and, that morning, or if I'm sick or something, and I let them know. Well, there's quite a few of us in the club who are very, very skilled Sergeant at Arms. Somebody like Coey Humble or Phyllis Wall will take over when I'm not there. It's just a automatic deal. People want to help. And if the sergeant can't do if the sergeant can't do their job, somebody will step in and do it. That's one thing that's beautiful about Toastmasters. Everybody wants the meeting to succeed. So everyone will help. If I'm giving a speech, for instance, that day, somebody will step in as my Sergeant at Arms to move the lectern, help me set up props, and we continue on. It's hands helping hands.
And that's something that you've, again, you've kind of worked out in advance, that in the event that someone's not going to be there, that there are specific people who will step in and play the role.
Oh yes, yes. There's. I mean, if for instance right now Phyllis Wall is not there for Sergeant at Arms, I would be. It's not a problem. And if let's just say I can't and Phyllis can't, then Coey Humble would. I mean, it's just automatic. It's going to go. The meeting is going to go on. If Coey can't, I'm sure Guy will. It's not a problem.
Right. Everyone works together to make sure that the job gets done.
Yes.
You had talked about contests a little bit, and I know that running a regular meeting as a sergeant at arms is a very different situation than working as a sergeant at arms at a contest, maybe a area contest or a division contest or even a district contest. Will you kind of get us up to speed on the differences between meetings and when you get to the level where you're doing these contests outside of the club? What are the major differences in that?
Major differences is that in a meeting, you only need one sergeant at arms. When you've got, let's say, a evaluation contest going on, but it's at a regular meeting. It's not an area contest. It's just your meeting location. You're typically going to have between 2 to 3 contestants. You're going to have your guest speaker, and then when the speaker is done, you will escort the people out. No problem. You bring in the first person, and then the Toastmaster will call them forward. So you're doing the role of escort and setup of the room. Once they're done, they take a seat. You go get the second one during the minute of silence while everyone marks their ballots, and then so on. And you bring in the third until you're done. So your role there, as far as a contest in just the meeting location, is very simple. When you get to an area contest, it's not so simple because you're holding 5 different clubs there or more, maybe 6, depends on how big your area is. So you're going to be helping another sergeant at arms, or they're going to be helping you. Typically, it's best to have 3 people when you're in an area contest. If you're at a division contest, you're going to want at least 4 sergeants. And at district, 6 would be a very good number. There's a lot of things going on at a district conference. You're going to have a business meeting. You're going to need 2 sergeants for it. You're going to have a contest. You're going to need 2 sergeants for it. You're going to have different meeting rooms all open. Most of them, such as in the first timers room, you're going to need a sergeant for. So each and every sergeant, if you had 6, will be busy.
Right, it's just everything scales up, and so you have to have more people to cover all the moving parts as you start moving up to these larger contests.
Yes.
Does anyone else out there have any questions? I know I just sent a chat a second ago asking for any other questions. And Curtis, do you have anything that you didn't include in your presentation earlier that you think would be important for everyone to know about being a great sergeant at arms?
The only thing I can really think of is that when people are competing, you want to make sure that you give your very best so that they can get their very best to you. And this is helpful to you as much as it is to them, because a great contest is one where you have done your job, they have done their presentation, and both parties feel that it was a very good deal. You got a lot of entertainment or a lot of interesting new material that you can think on and bring home with you. They have had the opportunity to present that because you set the stage for it to be. And if you do that 5 times in one contest, that is excellent. That means you have given your all and you have received all you can get. It's just a win-win situation.
Well, Curtis, I think you shared some outstanding information about how to be more effective as a sergeant at arms, and hopefully everyone out there will be able to gain a greater appreciation for how important that role is in a club, and the way that it helps to again, set the stage for the success of the meeting. And hopefully some of you will be interested in taking on this role if you haven't done it before. It's definitely a pretty good role at the entry level, isn't it, Curtis? Was it the first thing that you did when you joined Toastmasters?
It was. In fact, my first time I wasn't even elected as Sergeant at Arms. I just went in and became one. Ricky Funes was heading for Argentina when I joined the club Windjammers. So I took over his role. And what I did, I told Norma, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. And she says, that's not important. What's important is that you learn. And the club helped. I mean, I walk in the door, I started setting up. If I missed anything, somebody was there to help guide me and to get it right. And that's the way I would want to be now as a Sergeant at Arms, to help them. I want to make sure that everyone has that opportunity to get it right. It's just been a blessing for me. It taught me a lot about leadership.
Yeah, just one second, Curtis.
Okay.
Right. Yes, I do. I think one of the great things about being a sergeant at arms is that as an entry level job is that you get to touch a lot of things. You deal with equipment, you deal with the guests, the liaison aspect of it. I think you learn a lot about being in a club, what a Toastmaster club is all about by being a sergeant at arms.
And the trust that's instilled on you, it's just, they give you the trust to handle that equipment. It's incredible. And it puts a sense of belonging immediately to the person who has become a sergeant at arms. It's a great entry level officer's position.
Well, again, Curtis, thank you for all the information that you shared. And again, hopefully everyone out there got more insight into, oh, wait a minute. I've got another question that came up. This is from Jackie Alford. Did you cover the new contest rules from last year at the contest level? What's your involvement in that, Curtis? Do you keep a contest rule book with you when you're serving as a sergeant at arms for a contest?
No, I don't. The contest chair will, the Toastmaster will, the area director or district director will. I've got plenty of other stuff to take care of, moving props or escorting people back and forth. My job isn't to do so much with the judging and what's legal as it is to help set up the contest and make it the best it can be.
Mm-hmm. You have to stay really focused on that specific task.
Yes, I try to stay focused on helping make everything correct. Now, if there's something I know is wrong, such as humongous amount of plagiarism or something, yes, I will make mention of it to the contest chair. That's as far as I need to go. I don't need to take it any further. The contest chair will carry it from there.
And keeping the contest on time or keeping the meeting on time, isn't that a big part of what you do? Is that because you get things started on time, and basically you're setting the tone for whether or not things happen in a timely manner.
Oh yes, it's important to start on time. If you say the meeting starts at 7:30, start it at 7:30. Even if things aren't set up, you can always go into a short recess. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. You started the meeting on time. This helps the meeting to finish on time. Everybody, such as Windjammers, we know that our meeting is going to last an hour and 15 minutes. Now, we might go over 2 or 3 minutes, or we might go under 2 or 3 minutes, but we always finish within a very close time frame. And that's because it is started on time, and very experienced people keep it on time, such as the timer. That's why everyone is timed.
Steve Sharp, let's see. He asked, are there any special duties for the sergeant at arms at executive council meeting?
Not really special duties, but just the same as always. You're going to call the meeting to order. You're going to be there to pass out any paperwork or handouts or ballots or anything like that. So you're going to be working, but it's not anything above what you would normally do at a meeting.
Right. You just basically continue to do the things that you do. You're acting as the facilitator, essentially, of that meeting as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? Again, as I have mentioned in these webinars recently, participation in this webinar is not a replacement for attendance at Toastmaster Leadership Institute events that are going to be coming up in January. They're really used as a supplement to give you more of an in-depth knowledge of what the specific roles are in Toastmasters, and we wanted to bring in some of our very, very talented people in this district to explain the things that they do, to give us the little tricks and the little nuances that help you to be more successful at your job. So again, if you have the opportunity, if you're going to be a sergeant at arms in the upcoming club officer period, please attend that when you go to the TLI event in your area. We've got webinars that are going to be coming up in January. The first one is going to be about moments of truth and why you would want to do that for the members of your club. That is going to be hosted by Program Quality Director Tim Mullins, and he's going to be doing that on January the 7th. On January the 21st, Distinguished Toastmaster, past District Governor Sherry Parker is going to be doing a presentation on meeting member needs, and this is going to be outstanding. And these two webinars are going to be designed to help you improve the experience of the members of your clubs. And so again, you're invited to participate. We will be having marketing out on a regular basis, reminding you about them. And so we encourage you to participate in these meetings, and also to encourage the members of your clubs to tune into these webinars. This one will be recorded and sent out through an email blast very soon, just as Jamuna Ramneth's presentation that she did last week will be coming out in an email soon as well, and they'll all be posted on the new District 33 website. At the end of next month, on January the 28th, we are going to be having a secretary. I haven't quite gotten that exactly who the facilitator will be, but it will be one of the outstanding secretaries in the district. And he or she will talk about the things that they do as secretaries to be more effective. Again, the little nuances, not just the typical things that you hear when you go to a Toastmasters Leadership Institute training, although that is very important. These trainings are designed to give you the little nuances, the things that you don't see in the typical training for the office. And so that will be on January the 28th. If you have a brand new club secretary that doesn't know a lot about their job, I would encourage you to invite them to participate. Or if you know someone who's interested in being a club secretary, please invite them to get some extra training through these webinars. And we're going to be having probably 3 webinars a month until June of next year. We want to have this ongoing training, the District 33 webinar series. Again, thank you so much for your participation today, Curtis, and all the great information that you shared.
You're very welcome. I hope I was a help.
Yep, you gave outstanding details about how to be an effective sergeant at arms. And thank all of you for participating, taking your time out. I know we're near the holidays and there are a lot of other things that you could have been doing this evening, and you chose to be a part of this webinar. So you all take care of yourselves and have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. And the next webinar, again, is on January the 7th, and it's about why you would want to do moments of truth in your club, and it will be given by Tim Mullins, the Program Quality Director. Take care, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Guy.